Crawley puts Kent on top after Yorkshire fight back. Yorkshire managed to pick up a draw and a win in the first two rounds, thanks mainly to mammoth partnerships from Root and Ballance in both games. They had to make do without the England Test captain this round, but they were able to welcome Test spinner Dom Bess on loan from Somerset. Kent, meanwhile, looked to pick up where they'd left off after taking a full 24 points last time out when they defeated Warwickshire. After winning the toss and opting to bat under blue skies, Yorkshire made a disastrous start to their innings as Lythe fell to the first ball of the match. Harry Brook set about leading the recovery as he took 10 off the following over from Milnes. And he followed it up with 2 more boundaries off Milnes' next over. A bowling change did the trick for Kent, however, when Clarkson got one to move late to find Balance's edge, Robinson the keeper taking a smart catch. And things went from bad to worse when Brook shuffled across his stumps against Podmore but got it all wrong and lost his leg stump. Kohler Cadmore and Leaning looked to have steadied the ship as Yorkshire reached 80 without further loss, but disaster struck when Kohler Cadmore went for a run that was never there and Leaning was beaten by a direct hit from Kuhn at mid-wicket. Kohler Cadmore's bad morning was confirmed soon after when he picked out Podmore at fine leg with a pull off Milnes to fall for 28. And Yorkshire were left in all sorts of trouble as just 4 balls later and on the stroke of lunch, Milnes got one to bounce and nip back and Bresnan could only fend it to Crawley at third slip. Loan signing Dom Bess provided some resistance for his new county after lunch, moving to 20 at a runner ball with some typically stylish boundaries, before he fell to a peach from Milnes, which left him to hit the top of off stump. Tattersall tried to follow Bess's example and counter-attacked with boundaries off Podmore and Milnes. He was joined by his captain Patterson, and they moved to a valuable 40-run partnership, before Tattersall was adjudged LBW to one from Claydon that may have kept a little low. Coad then fell to the part-time bowling of Bell-Drummond, chasing a wide one that only swung wider. Olivier was able to send a couple to the rope off Bell-Drummond to bring up 200, a good recovery for the Yorkshire lower order from 96 for 6. Before the innings was brought to a close when Patterson was run out backing up, when Claydon got his hand to a miscued pull from Olivier. That brought an early tea break, with Yorkshire hoping they could salvage the day by making inroads to the Kent batting in the evening session. And they were able to do just that, as Olivier produced an unplayable delivery that swung late to beat Dixon's defence and clatter into his middle stump. Crawley helped himself to 3 of his own in succession off Olivier. Renshaw couldn't resist having a nibble at one from Coad, with Kohler Cadmore taking a smart low catch at slip. Crawley continued in the same fashion, but Bell-Drummond fell when Bresnan got one to seam away, with Kohler Cadmore again claiming the catch. Kohler Cadmore was able to claim his 3rd slip catch of the innings when Kuhn provided him catching practice off Tim Bresnan. Crawley was still looking in excellent touch, however, and he found the boundary 3 times from one Olivier over to pass 50. Crawley was able to reach the close on 73 not out, the innings of the day by some distance after Yorkshire's fight back. The home side will begin tomorrow still 80 in arrears, but crucially with 6 wickets still in hand. Gary hits 50 not out to leave game finally balanced after Robinson 100. Zach Crawley held firm to reach 73 not out at the close to check Yorkshire's comeback and put Kent in command entering day 2. The young Kent opener could only add 8 to his overnight score, however, when he misjudged a short ball from Yorkshire skipper Patterson and presented him with a catch in his follow-through to leave Kent 5 down and still 51 behind. Newman Blake settled in quickly, however, finding the rope twice off Patterson. And Ollie Robinson was fresh from a debut century in the last round and duly brought up his 50 by easing Ben Coad through the covers for 4. The Kent pair were able to take their side into the lead with some impressive shot making from Robinson in particular, who helped himself to consecutive boundaries from Olivier. And they were able to reach the end of the session without further loss, reaching the break on 244 for 5, 34 ahead, and with Robinson looking impressive for his 80 not out. Robinson and Blake dug in after lunch against some disciplined bowling and moved their partnership past 100. before Blake fell when Olivier got one to nip away and take the outside edge, Kola Cadmore pouching the catch. And Podmore didn't hang around long before he became Bess's first wicket for Yorkshire, Kola Cadmore with his 5th catch of the innings, this time at mid-on. Just 2 balls later, Milnes also fell, courtesy of some extra bounce from Olivier. But Robinson was able to bring up his 2nd century in a row, continuing a brilliant start to the season for the 20-year-old wicketkeeper. He attempted to accelerate after reaching his ton, but perished when he failed to clear mid-on off Ben Coad, with Patterson taking the catch. And 3 balls later it was all over for Kent as Clarkson edged Coad to that man Kola Cadmore again, giving Kent a lead of 86 on first innings. Lyth and Brooke settled in well in Yorkshire's 2nd knock, showing resolute defence while keeping the scoreboard ticking over with regular boundaries. But just as they looked set to reach the tea interval unscathed, Clarkson was able to induce a loose shot from Brooke, who got a thin edge through to Robinson. That left Yorkshire on 42 for 1 as the teams went off for tea. Gary Ballance looked to be settling in well after tea when he caressed a wide half volley from Milnes through the covers. And Lyth answered him with boundaries of his own, before Ballance sent Milnes to the rope twice in 1 over. It was Claydon that made the breakthrough for Kent when Lyth was adjudged to have feathered through to the keeper, although the batsman wasn't entirely convinced. Ballance helped himself to 2 fours in a Clarkson over to move Yorkshire beyond 100 and into the lead. Ballance and Kola Cadmore began to build Yorkshire's advantage and registered a 50 partnership. Before Kola Cadmore fell in disappointing fashion, having a waft at one of Bell-Drummond's medium pacers. Ballance remained steadfast to register his half-century with a clip off his hip for 4, leaving the game finely poised as Yorkshire closed on 166 for 3, 80 ahead with 7 wickets in hand, and all to play for looking ahead to day 3. Brilliant Ballance helps Yorkshire push towards victory. Ollie Robinson hit a brilliant 2nd century in as many matches for Kent on day 2, but the game was finely poised as Gary Ballance remained not out on 57, and he carried Yorkshire's hopes of setting a daunting chase on day 3. The batsmen made a sedate start to their work in the morning session, but Ballance looked to be warming to his task as he picked up a couple of boundaries. Ballance had already registered 2 championship hundreds this summer, and he looked to be heading for a 3rd as he moved into the 90s with a sweep. And 2 fours from a Matt Milnes over took the Yorkshire skipper to a thoroughly deserved 3rd 100 of the summer. Things were beginning to look ominous for Kent as a dominant morning for Yorkshire ended with a lead of 175 with 7 wickets still in hand, quite a turnaround from 96 for 6 on the first morning of the match. Ballance pushed on in the afternoon session as Yorkshire took a firm grip of the game, picking up 2 boundaries from a Claydon over. And Leaning reached his 50 with a 4 through the covers off Podmore. The batsmen looked to accelerate as Yorkshire moved beyond 300 with a succession of boundaries, before Kent were finally able to claim their first wicket of the day when Leaning was struck on the pad by one that straightened from Milnes, the 4th wicket partnership worth 188 and putting Yorkshire in position to push for a win. Ballance carried on unperturbed and reached his 150 soon after with a clip off his legs for 2 off Claydon, before he fell for 159 not long before tea, after one from Bell-Drummond kept a little low and nipped back. That left Yorkshire 284 ahead at tea, and thinking about quick runs after the break and a declaration in the evening session. Tattersall fell soon after the tea break as he edged Milnes behind to Robinson. Bess started typically quickly and advancing his score at a run a ball, and the 400 came up for Yorkshire with Bess in partnership with Bresnan. But Bresnan and Patterson both fell to Claydon in the space of 4 balls, with both falling bowled. That brought Coad to the wicket, and he seemed to be dealing purely in boundaries. Bess perished in the pursuit of quick runs when he mistimed an attempted pull off Podmore into the hands of Clarkson. Coad pressed on with back-to-back victories off Claydon, but top-edged to point off Podmore to bring the innings to an end. He'd done his job though with a career-best 35. That left Kent needing to chase 384 to win, and Kent made a horrible start to their chase as Dixon steered an Olivier delivery straight to Brooke at short leg for just 1. And things went from bad to worse for the hosts when Crawley fell plumb LBW to Coad to leave Kent in the mire at 19 for 2. And it was Coad who struck again, bowling Renshaw after the Australian played down the wrong line. That left Kent 34 for 3 and staring at defeat on the final day, which they will begin 350 runs behind. Coad takes 5 to wrap up Yorkshire comeback win. A dominant 150 from Gary Ballance and 3 late wickets on day 3 meant that Yorkshire would need 7 wickets on the final day to claim victory, with Kent a daunting 350 behind. After losing their top 3 in only 8 overs of play last night, Kent needed to knuckle down and bat with some discipline in the morning session, perhaps while hoping for some help from the rain gods. And Daniel Bell-Drummond found a willing partner in night watchman Clarkson as they dug in to frustrate the Yorkshire attack in excellent conditions for bowling. A run rate of less than 2 across the morning session will not have worried Kent, as crucially they reached the lunch interval without having suffered any further damage at 84 for 3. Kent would be readying their rain dance during the break, while Yorkshire would feel that if they could prize out Bell-Drummond quickly, they could still force victory. It took just 7 balls of the afternoon session for Yorkshire to strike, when Olivier finally ended night watchman Clarkson's 110-ball vigil when he edged to Lythe at slip. And 1 wicket brought 2 as in the next over, Kun fell for a duck, as Coad got one to seam and take the edge, with Lythe again pouching the catch. New man Robinson counter-attacked in partnership with Bell-Drummond, taking 3 boundaries off the bowling of Olivier. But Yorkshire skipper Patterson trapped Bell-Drummond LBW with one that kept a little low to leave Yorkshire 4 wickets from victory. First innings centurion Robinson wasn't going to go quietly though, easing Olivier to the rope twice from successive balls. Robinson fell however, driving away from his body off Coad to be caught at cover by Ballance for 35. Blake and Podmore held firm to reach tea unscathed, to leave Yorkshire needing to take 3 wickets in the final session to claim victory. Blake and Podmore manned the barricades again after tea and they survived without incident for a further 8 overs, until Blake fell LBW to the part-time spin of Jack Leaning, though the batsman wasn't happy with the decision. The new ball arrived for Yorkshire, which meant Coad and Olivier readied themselves for new spells, and it was Coad who made the breakthrough with an absolute beauty, and Coad was able to complete a well-deserved 5-wicket haul to wrap up the win as he had Claydon caught by Brook. Yorkshire winning by 172 runs in the end, a far cry from 96 for 6 on the first morning. Yorkshire move up the table thanks to a 20-point haul, while Kent move on with 5.